now. And there we go. Miss Ivelia, would you like to kick us off, please?
Yes, good evening to our Viking families, students and parents alike. Wanted to just take a moment to thank you and introduce myself, Leslie Ivelia, the principal here at Lake Stevens High School. However, I get a lot of pride in participating tonight simply because I get introduced to fine folks behind the scenes that do all of the work, each and every bit of it. And I will tell you that I'd like to introduce Associate Principal Dan Alderson, but the first thing he'll do is give all the recognition to our school counselor, Emily Chilson. She has done great work over the course of the last few years here in preparing for this evening. We just wanted to let you know that we're grateful for your time. We are glad that you get to join us virtually. And we also wanted to remind you of the main focus of tonight. This is an informational meeting for both students and parents. It's really important that we take an opportunity to make sure we provide a bunch of information. And I know Emily and Dan will be covering those details along with Aranza, and I'll let them introduce her and what her role will be this evening, as well as what ways you can access this information after the evening is complete. As Dan said, they're recording it, so they will be able to provide that access for you to come back and listen. But our main focus tonight is both on our college and the high school planning, as well as our advanced placement classes, the AP classes. There will be some other details to help with our post-secondary planning progress and for kids that are in the process of continuing to decide, what will I do? Will I take the AP test or will I apply for college and the high school classes? So thank you in advance to Emily Chilson for this fine work. We want you to know that you can work with any of your counselors, but this is one of her primary roles in her oversight at our school. So thank you, and I'm going to give this back to whomever is taking it next. Thanks very much for being here, families.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss Ivelia. And ladies and gentlemen, Miss Ivelia, you may see her pop out of the panelist mode here in a little bit. She's doing double duty tonight, attending the school board meeting virtually. I'm choosing to believe she'd rather be with us, but maybe that's a pipe dream. On the screen with us tonight, could we have Miss Chilson and Miss Gallegos? Could you introduce yourselves and your roles, please? And then we'll get going.
Sure. I'm Emily Chilson, and I'm so glad to be here to talk with you about this tonight. I have probably talked with a lot of the students who may also be joining us, or the students, if you're the parents, I've talked to a lot of students in classes, but I'm always happy to take emails or have students drop by and ask the questions. Their counselors know a lot of great stuff too, but I've done a lot of the research about how some of our credits will transfer, and so sometimes I kind of partner with other counselors on this work. And so I learn stuff every single day. And so I'm constantly learning, and students are always asking new questions that are kind of fun for me to puzzle out and find out with you, alongside with you. So thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aranza Gallegos, and I am the director of our Region High School programs at Everett Community College. What that means is that I oversee our dual credit programs at Everett Community College, which includes college and the high school and Running Start. So I'm happy to be here and answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you both. And before we get into the meat of it, you'll see somewhere on your screen, there is a question and answer. Looks like two little chat bubbles kind of snuggled up next to each other. You can use that as a feature to go ahead and ask us questions. Just as a heads up, we will be able to answer many of your 30,000 foot view questions tonight, but because of the vast variety of our audience, we won't be able to answer all of your even 10,000 or 10-foot questions. So we'll have some resources for you to be able to ask more questions at the end of the evening, some other folks that you can go ahead and find answers from. But without any further ado, Ms. Chilson, are we ready? Give me 1 second while I get my screen share set up. Desktop 2. Click share. You should be seeing the whole big thing, right? Ms.
Yes.
Chilson, can we give you a thumbs up? We're good?
Looks like we're good.
Awesome sauce. So just tell me when to click through and I am your click.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we just wanted to start with, well, why are we here? And we know that we are in the midst of deadlines. In fact, we had one yesterday, and we know that students and parents are having to make some decisions coming up very soon. So for example, University of Washington, we only have 2 classes, college and high school classes through UW. The deadline was yesterday, and we knew that teachers worked very closely with their classes to make sure that if they wanted to take advantage of the opportunity, that they could. We have an AP deadline coming up. It's next Wednesday, November 3rd. And I will be checking in with some students and parents if students haven't followed all the steps. So don't be surprised if you hear from me if there is something that could be missing. We also don't have a specific deadline for college and the high school. It would normally be around this time that we would have a deadline for that also. But this year, because they are changing their system, we are looking at early 2022. So there are some tutorials that are coming for the EVCC registration. The UW registration is on here, but there is second semester for like UW English, for example. If people are looking for that, here it is. If you want to go ahead and click. Thank you. I talked with a college and high school teacher earlier this week, and we just really wanted to let you know that we are here to help you because we know that this can be pretty challenging to navigate. So one of our teachers said, I just got off the phone with the registrar to confirm registration for several students. It reminded me that even with clear instructions, sometimes just accessing college credit takes good language skills, an understanding of how systems work, the ability to communicate in English, and the resources to pay. So we want to just acknowledge that every college is different. It can feel pretty like a pretty overwhelming task to do the research. And we know that we are asking students to do research, and then sometimes they're not even really sure where to start. So we're hoping to just give you some heads up about how we can help, things that you, maybe tips that you can use to kind of start this process at least.
And one other reason that we're here tonight is because there have been some pretty significant shifts from when mom and dad, when you and I were in school, and the options that were available then. And even as you've had older siblings go through the system in the last few years, there have been several legislative changes that have brought some new things to the table. And so that's another reason we're here.
Yes, it seems like there's changes, some kind of change every year, in fact. So that's the only constant, is that things will change. But it usually what we keep seeing is that it seems to be for the better in most circumstances. So that's the good news. So what are the opportunities for college or CTE credits through Lake Stevens High School? We have quite a few, and it can be overwhelming. So this list looks really small print, and we know that. We do have a link on this slide, and then we also have this on our website. And honestly, the one on the website should be the most updated one tomorrow, because we were still looking at this and making changes with our CTE director even just today. So we probably make changes to this at least 2 or 3 times per year. And we do have on there that it's subject to change because, for example, we have a class that is in process right now that will probably be approved soon for college and the high school. But we're still waiting kind of for that final word. So we really try to keep this up to date. Please reach out with questions and we can always inform you about the latest. This really comes in handy around registration time. So it is something that we usually have available for students so that they can know what those options are. There are 4 different ways to pick up college credits. So we have a, for example, the CTE dual credits, and those were all listed on that last slide that we had, like, you know, the big list, right? Running Start credits are not listed on that list that we had on the previous slide because the Running Start course catalog is huge, and those are really specific just to students who are actually attending Everett Community College as a Running Start student. But there is access for our students if they choose to go the Running Start route. We have AP or advanced placement, and this is through College Board. And with AP, of course, there's an exam at the end or towards the end of the course. And then we have college and the high school, and you'll usually see that as CHS.
And those last two places are the places we're going to focus on most this evening.
Correct.
The reason you got a special invitation to be here is because if you're a student, you're enrolled in one of the courses. It is either AP or college in the high school offering, or your student is in one of those courses. So thank you again for being here.
So the CTE dual credits are still considered college credits, but they are, of course, taught at the high school or CAV. They integrate academics with technical skills, and these are more specific for careers related to professional technical occupations. So these will be less likely to transfer to four-year universities as part of people's majors if they aren't a professional technical occupation. So we did put some examples of what we offer at Lake Stevens, but I believe this is not comprehensive. We do have some additional ones. So these are just some examples. And this one is a little bit different. So sometimes parents are very confused about, wait a minute, I kind of knew how to do college in the high school registration, and this one looks a little bit different for my students, like, let's say personal finance class. So the CTE dual credit is a different way to register and then also claim the credit. And so I just put EVC's example on here. The registration for CTE dual credits through EVCC is in December, but then paying and claiming that credit isn't until the end of the course, and there is a grade requirement of C or better. So I did put the link on there. There's really a wonderful PowerPoint presentation that you can go through to understand all the steps necessary. Also, I had to give a shout out to Snow Isle. Again, I couldn't list all of them on here. I was trying and I ran out of room and I just couldn't make the font any smaller. But there are some really wonderful things that you can do through Snow Isle. And, I at least wanted to talk about the fact that a lot of the CTE dual credits also can be obtained by being a Snow Isle student. And their website has a much more comprehensive overview of these per program. But the applications for that are in January this year. So that's getting a little bit earlier than maybe what we had in the past. So Snow Isle is also a great opportunity. Running Start, we're not going to focus on that because, we could probably have a 3-hour session if we were just doing Running Start information, right? But there are 34 community or technical schools in Washington that use Running Start. Most of our students go through EVCC. It's the closest option for Lake Stevens. And really, we recommend that students attend an information session. So it looks like there was an information session just last night. They will add more and more opportunities for information sessions, especially in the spring. But that is an excellent place to start to find out more about just what the Running Start program is through EVCC. And then because every student's needs are a little bit different based on where you are academically or where your student is academically. And so to really make it focused on your student, we have a parent meeting with the counselor in the spring. And so these are tuition-free credits that can count for both high school and college. I always kind of think that that's common knowledge, but sometimes people get a little confused about that. So if you could go to the next screen, I can just, or slide, excuse me. I can show you that we have what's called an equivalency chart. And so if you want to satisfy our civics requirement, you have to take one of the 3 political science classes at EVCC to check that box and meet that requirement. So Running Start students have to fill out a verification form for each quarter that the tuition is covered for, fall, winter, and spring. So Running Start is an excellent opportunity, but we also have a lot of really great opportunities here at the high school. So yeah, we can go ahead and go to the next slide. And our focus tonight is what we offer specifically and what choice you're having to make here fairly soon. So let's go to the next one. For both AP and college and high school, these are classes, that are rigorous coursework. They are both taught by vetted staff. And this is where it gets a little confusing that AP and college and high school can be used for college admissions. They can both be used for college placement and or credit. And, this is where they branch off a bit. For AP, like I mentioned earlier, there is a single test at the end of the experience, and those are in May. It's around $100 this year. It's $96, unless for students with free and reduced lunch, that cost is $0. And for college and the high school, the end of the course grade is final. So that does go on your college transcript. And the costs are a little bit different based on our 3 colleges that we partner with. So Edmonds College is $214, EVCC is $220, UW is $375 this year. And I just want to mention that, at EVCC, a regular course, just the tuition alone would cost $535. So the $220 is a reduced rate. And of course, that $535 doesn't include the books or fees or transportation or any of that. To transfer those credits, let's say if it does transfer to a college like the University of Washington, taking that course just at the University of Washington tuition only would be around $1,800. So either AP or college and high school, if you're able to get those credits, are an excellent discounted opportunity to start early and get some credits in. So right now, probably most of you are still at this point in the timeline where your student or you as the student are just taking an AP or college and the high school course. And I definitely talked to some sophomore classes that, just felt a little overwhelmed because they're like, I am not even close to applying to college, much less deciding which college I want to go to. And so we know that we are kind of, giving you a big ask for starting this research when students just might not have many answers at this point. So we do still want you to ask questions and try to make as informed, decision as you can, knowing that your plans may change, and we are happy to continue discussing that with you and to adjust if your plans change. So we also are hoping to just define some terms, give some tips. Like I said, I did some research and I'm going to show you some examples, and hopefully I'll be able to kind of show you just some of the ways that you can do the research on your own. But keep asking the questions. The research may not end. It may just continue as you're making your decisions. So thank you for your patience on that. And I think if you click through, you can see once you're accepted to that college, and then you send your AP scores and or college and high school to college, at that point, then the college will decide placement or credit or both. So for admissions, this is the process a college goes through in determining which applicants to accept. Boy, this has been more challenging with COVID. And so admissions everywhere are having to change up some things for sure. But AP and college and the high school, a great benefit is that these classes allow you to distinguish yourself from other students and show that you can handle rigorous coursework.
And this is one of the significant differences from even just 4 or 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, Washington state law required a student to make a choice between having the AP label on their high school transcript or the college and the high school, but they couldn't have both. They then went back and made some more changes, and now it's required for us as a high school. If the class is an AP class that also qualifies for college and the high school, we're now required to put both on the transcript. So you no longer have to make that choice.
Thank you. Yeah, that is helpful. With AP and college and the high school, placement is also important. And we know that students are going to graduate in June, and then they're going to be, if they're going off to their university in the fall, they're going to meet with an advisor, plan their classes, and they may not have time to get all of those AP scores and college and the high school credits actually in the system yet. So one tip that we just want to remind people about is that it may be helpful to bring a copy of your unofficial transcript and or your AP scores to meet with your advisor at a college university. Kelsey Mark from UW in our video later talks about how it takes 4 to 6 weeks, but if the advisor that you're working with knows what you've taken, then they can help determine the best placement for you for your classes that you're going to sign up for fall, winter, and spring if they're going by quarters, or semesters if they're on that system. So another tip that I just wanted to offer is that we've had great success in the past when a college or university doesn't have like EVCC's class, like as a direct transfer in their system yet. Sometimes you'll see like English 1XX. And so what we recommend is that if you keep copies of your syllabus from your college and the high school classes, then the college or university can look at that and get a better idea of what the class consisted of. And often they will grant credit and then change that for future students. So that's a great advantage to you to have that just in case. So this does allow you to skip entry-level college coursework and move on to the next level.
And just one housekeeping item, folks, I do see a couple of people have popped in some questions into the Q&A. So Nathan, McCullough, and Gus, your questions have not disappeared into the ether. They are still there. Other folks, if you want a sticky note, ooh, that shows up. Wow, that's kind of cool. Sticky note and a pen. We should be answering many of these questions through the process, but we will go ahead and answer those questions that aren't answered in the webinar. We'll attempt to answer those live a little bit later.
Okay, and I think people do know generally what credits are, but earning credits, of course, advances you towards your degree. I met with a student just earlier today who had taken at Lake Stevens High School Spanish 2, Pre-Calculus, AP Lit, Calc AB, Spanish 3, and AP Physics this year, and AP Stats. So by the time the student graduates, they will have earned 50 college credits, which is that's amazing, right? So this student is going to be well ahead, and we're hoping, of course, that he can transfer most of these credits. So we were talking about that today. For financial, one more thing. We do have, I'm so sorry. Yeah, go ahead and, sorry, I added the slide last second. How to purchase an AP exam. Students do have to join their specific AP class on myap.collegeboard.org, and students can just pay, or parents can come in to pay with cash, check, or card to Mrs. Davidson in the business office. So this can be before or after school or during all free lunches. Of course, people can also pay on our online payment site, but there is a $1.50 fee. Any student who qualifies for free and reduced lunch, though, you don't pay, you actually just contact me. And then I add your name to the list, and I make sure that we are ordering a test. So we'll talk about the financial help here in just a second. College and the high school, I am going to let Aranza talk a little bit about this, because we don't have that system to explain quite yet, but that is something that will come up in early 2022. Okay, go on to the next one, please. Okay, so there is some financial help. Now, some of this obviously depends on which classes, how many classes. And so for AP, like I mentioned, it's $96. That money is due next Wednesday. For someone who purchases a test late, it's not our policy, but it's College Board's policy that we do have to add a $40 late fee. Like I said, the cost is lower for free and reduced lunch, and Washington State actually covers even the partial amount that College Board requires. So students can get unlimited number of exams for free if they qualify for free and reduced lunch. I have the information that I would be happy to pass on to you if you email me if you're not sure if you qualify and want to check it out, or if you want to start the process to get qualified, because this is something that you can find on our district website, but I'm happy to find the specific thing for you if you contact me. Also with AP, you do get one free score report sent to a college of your choice. But if you miss that deadline, then it does cost $15 to get a score report and take it to your college. For college and high school, we have Edmonds, EVCC, and UW. EVCC, free and reduced lunch students do get 2 5-credit classes. And also through Edmonds, we do have the ability, they said on their site, and this is new to us because this is a new partnership for us, that there are some partial tuition scholarships, but I'm happy to explore that with you if that's something that you qualify for and you're interested in. Also for college and high school for EVCC, there are deferred payment plans that parents can work on with the college to pay that in smaller amounts over time. Okay, so will my college and high school credit transfer? We have heard of great success. As you can see, public colleges, it's a little higher than private colleges, but generally it just gets better every year. It seems like more and more colleges are accepting the credits. And so we really feel confident that most of the classes that you take with us, if you get college and high school credits, many of those credits will transfer successfully. But we're also happy to do the research with you if you have an idea of which colleges your student or you are looking at, and we can help you do some of that research to find out. Okay, so as if you're a student, as you're earning these credits, now what? We wanted to show you what this would look like on a transcript. So for AP scores, this is a sample transcript, and I do zoom in. So if you want to click one more time, Mr. Alderson, you can see it a little bit closer there. And you can see that there is not a grade, it's just an S, but it does show the credits that were earned. And then if you could go on to the next slide. This shows for college and the high school what this looks like. And I did add a couple of white bars just because we don't have chemistry as a college and the high school course, excuse me. But I wanted to point out like the history, and it's kind of in the middle there, history 146, US history 1. And then at the very bottom of the zoomed in part, US history 2, history 147. Our AP US history actually counts as 3 5-credit classes as college and the high school through EVCC. So of course that's 220 3 times, but that's 15 credits that students can earn just by taking the one class at LSHS. So that's an excellent option. I just wanted to point out what those would look like. As you can see, the grades and the credits are also on there. If you want to go on to the next. And I know you've seen this timeline before, but we also wanted you to have an idea of what it looks like once you have these credits and once you are graduating from high school and getting ready to make your choice of which college you are going to attend. So normally once a student has committed to a university, sometimes they also ask to wait until students have put down like their first payment. But it just, every college is a little bit different on how they take your credits to be transferred. So some have like an evaluation, some you just turn it into a specific place or portal, and then you get a transfer credit report. Some you submit to a registrar. So it looks a little bit different per college, but an admissions person would definitely be able to answer what that looks like. Also, their websites do a great job of explaining this normally. So you just have to look and find that information out. So if you can go to the next one, how can you begin this research? Well, colleges, like I said, are all different. Some have a grade requirement. Sometimes colleges limit the number of transfer credits. Sometimes the GPA is calculated in, sometimes it is not. And so the college websites are really going to give you the best, most updated information. And many of them say, somewhere on there, these could change. So I just want to be upfront with you about that. That is the only thing constant, is that things change all the time. But for the most part, I just gave you a couple of examples. The first one is from Western Washington University, what it looks like when you're doing research. I almost always Google transfer equivalency and the college name. And so Western, I put in History 146 just as an example. That's one of the classes that you can earn college and the high school credit through with our AP US History class. And that transfers as History 103 at Western. So that just gives you an idea of what that's going to look like at Western for you if you choose to go to that college.
And Ms. Chilson?
Yeah.
Sorry, so this slide and the next slide are about if I have purchased the college and the high school option through EVCC, and
Correct.
I'm then attempting to take that particular transcript from EVCC and send it to Western.
Yes, but
There's
this is
another
like
option
how,
with the AP.
Yes, so this doesn't show AP, but keep in mind that this is how you can do your research before you're actually deciding to go to this college. So if you have like your top 3 schools, you can do some of this research to see, okay, well, how are my credits that I have so far going to transfer? And sometimes that might even help people make a decision about which university they might choose. So go ahead and go to the next one. I only did 2 of these, but most colleges do have some form of transfer equivalency guide or system. This one is just a snapshot of centrals. And so, for example, our French 2 class at Lake Stevens High School for college and the high school is French 122. And that counts at Central as French 152, which is first year French, and that's 5 units. So I just wanted to give you an idea of how you could do some of this research on your own. Anytime, if you email a counselor or email me, we can try to help you locate this, but really I just do a quick Google search to find their transfer equivalency page, and I can find the information pretty quickly. So I only did 2, obviously not very comprehensive, but I just wanted to give you an idea. And go on to the next slide, please. Another great way to get this information is to, of course, contact admissions representatives. This is for AP equivalency. So this one, Mr. Alderson did a great job of putting links on each, on the icons here. And of course, you can Google search the school name and AP credit. But the AP credit policy search, honestly, through a College Board, I feel like they don't update that as much as the individual college websites do. So that's where I would recommend you looking for the latest and greatest AP info. And of course, much of this is according to the student score. In Washington State, public universities do give, ask public universities to grant some form of credit for 3, but I'll show you some examples of what that could look like. Also, make admissions representatives and counselors your friend. So they will answer all of your questions. They have no power to influence your admission or not. They are simply there to answer questions and help you navigate the application and admissions process. So you can send an email, you can call. I have many students who are afraid to call. And so I say, let's call together and we'll just call the person, leave a message if we can't get a hold of them. Many of the websites have chat with a counselor, connect with us virtually. Ms. LaFortune has virtual visits with colleges frequently. And so you can check to see when the college admissions representative is going to be talking to specifically Lake Stevens High School students. You can hear other questions. there's a lot of really great opportunities. Also, you can request information. Sometimes it's helpful if you know what your major is going to be to request information from that specific area. There's also a lot of great opportunities that you might just find in looking for that or in talking to the admissions representative that can help you make some of those decisions. So I just wanted to show you some examples. So I did some research with students over the years, and I've just kind of kept track of some of these the information that we learned. So for example, this year I emailed UW, these are all UW examples, about what AP Lang would specifically look like, because I was a little confused what the difference was between the college and the high school benefit, which English 101, which is our AP Lang equivalent if you pay for college and the high school. What is it, what does that mean? So they're both 5 credits, the English 131 and English 106. But for English 131, it actually includes a C for composition. So that's a designation that could be helpful. It didn't necessarily make a difference to the student that I was asking for based on her major, but it could make a difference for you. So sometimes if you're not really sure what this means, asking an admissions representative is really helpful. For AP, for students who got a 3, 4, or 5 as their score, then that was English 106, which is also 5 credits. But sometimes you can find out a little bit more information by just contacting the admissions rep. Also with AP Calc AB, I just wanted to show you that this looks like a pretty clear example that if a student feels like they're going to be successful in AP Calc AB, that they will likely want to choose the college and the high school option if they're planning to go to UW. So Math 124 and Math 125 are both earned with college and the high school. It transfers over from Math 151 and 152 and turns into Math 124, 125 at UW. For students who get a 3, 4, or 5 on the AP Calc AB exam, that just earns 5 credits, and that's just Math 124. So these are the kind of things that we are hoping that you're looking into if you know which college you're looking at. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
For the chemistry, this might be a good spot for us to talk really briefly about why do some of our AP classes not have a commensurate college and high school option. And that's simply because per Washington state law, whenever we're partnering with an outside institution to grant a college and the high school class, our staff member has to have the same exact hiring qualifications that EVCC or Edmonds Community College or University of Washington would have if that person were to be a staff member on their staff. So for example, our AP Physics. Last year, we lost Mr. Ingram to Stanwood School District, and he didn't have the qualifications to partner with EVCC in terms of AP College and High School. Mr. White, who has taken his place, it's looking pretty good. Fingers crossed that he does. Mr. White does have that particular qualification that would allow him to offer to partner with EVCC as an adjunct faculty member for EVCC. And so that's why that list that we showed you in really fine print that you can find on our website later, and it's linked here as well. That's why that list changes frequently. So thank you.
Yeah, and I did want to point out that you can see on this list just that the higher the AP score, the more credits that students will earn. And so, AP Chemistry was just a good example of that. There's also an example there that, 3 to 5 can also count as placement into an honors chemistry course. Aranza and I talked about how the college and the high school option for AP Chem in many schools is a little bit different, and it may not count like for certain majors the same way as they kind of hope for it to anyway. So an AP score in this is really beneficial for our students. So go ahead and go on to the next slide. This just shows Western Washington University. And this is just an example that sometimes there's a benefit. Sometimes they're exactly the same. So the examples, and this isn't necessarily across the board for all of our courses, but these two examples show how college and the high school and AP are counting as the same thing as long as the student is getting a 3 or above on their AP exam. In AP Lang, it's a 4 or 5 to waive that English 101. But generally, they're very similar. Okay, so what about out of state? We get this question a lot, and boy, we are happy to still do this research. I went into an AP Lit class and talked to some students, and they just named some colleges that they're considering. And so we started doing some of the research together, and it was really great. I learned a lot. So I just put a couple examples. All of these are from AP Lit, just because that's the research that we did recently. But as you can see, it's just different. So the notes for the University of Louisville were that college and the high school and AP would be the same. There's really no difference. For Brigham Young, now this is unique, so we don't normally recommend this, but for Brigham Young, the college and the high school and AP are just slightly different. So they actually said, well, you could actually do both for this one if you wanted to and actually earn more credits. But just wanted to let you know that this is pretty rare. So generally we do say pick one or the other because in most cases they can't like earn more than just like whatever the 3 or 5 credits that we generally see. For Stanford University and New York University, they can't be transferred if credits were high school graduation requirements. So I just wanted to kind of give that example of an out-of-state college that would not accept or, you know, that these credits would not transfer for. For AP, it just kind of depends. Like at New York University, it has to be a 4 or higher and only counts as elective credits. So just kind of giving you a heads up that every college is different. Okay, so we do have an interview with Kelsey Mark. Mr. Alderson, do you think it might be helpful to actually do some Q&A time with Aranza first and then show our interview with Kelsey Mark for the people who'd like to stay after for a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So in fact, I was wondering if, because this will be posted on our website, for those of you who are interested in watching this video, it's what, 8 minutes, I believe. That might be
6
the best
minutes.
spot
I
to
got
do
it down.
Oh, good deal, good deal. So we've stolen Aranza for an hour, and she's already been here for just a little under that. So we want to honor her time as well. So I think we'll, Miss Chilson, if we could just go ahead and let folks watch that at home. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Yep. And then, you know, I think this is really challenging because we just have to say that this is an individual decision. We are happy to talk with you about it and help you look at some of the research or get the research started. But as a parent or student, you just have to ask some of these questions. Is your student a good test taker? What kind of student are you? One of the things that Kelsey Mark talks about in the interview is low risk, high reward. That's how she characterized AP tests, because you can choose to turn in those scores or not, or high risk, high reward with the college and the high school option. So what grades do you normally have in advanced classes? University of Washington representative did say, we want to see that, yes, you're taking advanced rigorous coursework, but we also want to see that you can handle that advanced rigorous coursework and succeed in it. Of course, with AP exams, there's always the question, what's going to happen on the day of the test, because it's just one day. And we normally just have limited chances to do a makeup test later, and that's really only one other day. So financial considerations are, of course, really important in terms of fee waivers, payment plans. And then, of course, if you're in my office, I'm going to ask you about what are your post-high school intentions? How is this going to help you out? Especially with like things like math. I had a student who was asking, oh no, I already got the college and the high school credits, that are pretty much the highest we can get at Lake Stevens High School. And we talked about just the fact of, continuing practicing his skills in math and not getting behind with practicing that is really going to help him in his current class. So there are just some things to consider that we're happy to help you navigate through and answer questions about. All right. So yay, question and answer time with Aranza. So we just had a couple questions ready, and we know some questions have been coming in through the Q&A, and this is a good time if you've got them to ask them. But I'm going to share a couple that I already had prepared that I've heard from students and parents. So the first one is, how will information be shared about the payment and registration for college and the high school credits once everything with the new system is set up and ready?
Yes, thank you, Emily. And I know everyone across Snohomish County is very curious about this information. So our plan is to communicate first with our high school partners. So it will be the teachers, the college and the high school teachers, the counselors, and the principals. Our goal for this year, because of this software change, is that we're going to do a one-time registration for the first semester year-long classes and second semester classes in March. So in early March is when students will be able to start registering for classes, but we are expecting our students to be applying to the college between January and February. So once we have that entire process nailed down, because it's going to include a new online application, a new registration system, a new payment system, and even payment plan system. We'll be sharing that out with our high school partners, and we'll also have videos and written text information on our website.
Great. Can you share any news or updates about EVCC, college and the high school credits, and how they can transfer for students? So anything you maybe heard me say that you'd want to add to, or frequent questions that you get?
Yeah, I think the information you presented about the credit transfer is pretty on point. I will just add that, you know, within the Washington State Public University system, community college credits does transfer over seamlessly, because these are the agreements that we have with our four-year institutions. So if you are someone who is intending to stay in the state of Washington, please know that those credits will be transferring. And it's also important to know that it's not just the credit, it's that just because you earn the credit, it won't just all transfer over. And what I mean by that is that your grade also does matter. So for example, if you are in a college and the high school class that is English 101, and if you want to move on to English 102, whether that's at Everett Community College or another community college or another public university, you need to have at least a C in order to move on to the next course. So transferring credit also takes into consideration the grade that you earned, which can also have an impact on financial aid eligibility and whatnot. So we just want to make sure that you are aware of this and that you are trying your best. But as your counselor, Emily, has mentioned, it is always best to do the research beforehand, especially utilizing those web pages. And for those out-of-state universities, whether they're public or private, you really want to know what is their transfer credit policy. I hope that helps.
Yes, thank you. Can universities tell the difference if a student was doing college in the high school versus doing a Running Start class?
So the answer is yes, based on the high school transcript, because high school transcripts tend to have a designating letter for a college in the high school or Running Start class. But when it comes to transferring your own credit, there's no difference on the college transcript. It all just looks like you've earned the credit through the college with no special letter if it's Running Start or college in the high school. And because our college and the high school classes do require that the faculty have the credentials and qualifications of a community college instructor, and the curriculum is the same as that is offered at the community college, then we can say that students are well prepared in college and the high school and in Running Start to transfer over to four-year universities or continuing on in their higher education goals. So there really isn't any difference. I mean, it all comes down to the individual and how you develop your study habits and whatnot. But when it comes to continuing on, you are definitely well prepared.
We get that question all the time. What looks better to colleges? Running Start, college in the high school, or AP? And Kelsey Mark, in her video says they are all viewed very well. They're all more rigorous coursework that show what you can do in your high school journey. So
Emily?
if a student moves or decides to switch out of a year-long class, what happens?
Yes, great question. So I encourage students and parents to be really mindful of our registration deadlines for 100% refund and for the withdrawal deadlines. So if you are in a class and you decide to register and decide that that will probably not be the best route for you, it's not the best dual credit option for you, then we encourage you to start the withdrawal process with the college. And I say this because if you don't withdraw by the deadline, you do have two options of continuing on with the course and maybe not doing your best, or withdrawing with a withdrawal grade or a W grade. The W grade will not have any impact on your cumulative GPA at the college, but just know that you will have a withdrawal grade on your official college transcript. So I would say one of the perks of our software transition this year is that many of you will already know what your grade will be for the first semester class. This is typically not something that happens, but I think at least you'll get a much better sense of what the workload will look like, and hopefully help you decide whether or not, oh, sorry, my Siri on my Apple Watch. But hopefully that will help you make a very informed decision for your second semester. So we highly encourage you to withdraw by our deadlines so that you don't have a withdrawal grade on your transcript and you receive your refund. But that's usually what will happen, is that there could be some grade impact in the sense of having a grade, but that'd be the best route to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to answer one question live really quick, because we have a question that I think gets asked a lot. Can college in the high school and AP credits be mixed? For example, doing AP for chemistry and college in the high school for English? Absolutely. In fact, we have some students who have done some college in the high school, some AP, and some Running Start, maybe even some CTE dual credit in their past also. So we definitely have students who can take advantage of any and all. And we know that that's confusing, but you definitely don't have to choose one and stick with it. Like we said before, they're all really great options, and we're here to help if you're kind of, if there is a choice between AP or college and high school, if you're having trouble deciding which one is best for you. So Mr. Alderson, did you have any questions for
Yeah, thank you. So we've got about 10 questions in the pool. And so let's just kind of go through them, and Arantxa, jump in and we'll go ahead and answer them all together. So McCullough asked, can 529 funds be used to pay for college in the high school? And for those at home who aren't aware of what 529s are, that's usually a college savings account. And I don't know the answer to that, but nose goes for who does.
That'll be me. Yes, the 529 funds can be used to pay for college in the high school. We consider them a third-party payment. So if your intent is to use the funds, we highly encourage you to start that conversation to make the payment after you have registered for classes. And I say starting the conversation because I believe usually it's a check that gets mailed to the college. And so we want to ensure that that is being done in a timely manner. You can always email college in the high school, so we can always put a hold on students' accounts so that they're not dropped for non-payment, but rest assured 529 funds can be used.
Awesome, thank you. Next, Gus asks, what is the transfer rate differences between one of the community colleges versus UW? And why would someone pay more for the UW credits if both can be transferred? I think there's a complexity in the question there, but I want to know how you guys answer.
I'll leave Emily with the first one.
Awesome.
It sounds like the difference is based on the availability and the type of classes that are being offered at the high school. Earlier in the presentation, Emily and Dan mentioned how, certain classes are eligible for college and the high school credit via EVCC or UW. So there might be a UW, chemistry class that's offered for college and the high school, but not through EVCC. So it kind of depends on what class is offered, if you're in that class, and if you're going to be able to participate in that college and the high school program. So it's just, sometimes it's chance, depending on your year and what you are registered for.
Yeah, and I would say the only two UW college and the high school credits that we offer are AP Psychology. That's our AP Psychology class. So I know that's kind of confusing because you can choose on that one whether or not to take the AP exam or to pay for the UW credit. And we also have UW College and Composition, and that's really seniors only. And that's 2 5-credit classes, and there's no AP involved in that course. So those I would just say are different. And I think that would be easier if you were in front of me, Gus. I would probably show you the list and say, this is what, often advanced students as sophomores take, AP Lang, often as juniors, they take AP Lit. And of course, students don't necessarily have to take all of the advanced options. I have a student who's never taken an AP who took the UW English class her senior year, and she's doing great. So she was able to build her skills over the year and join an advanced class a little bit later. So we definitely have, some information that we are happy to share with you individually about what your student is ready for. And we're happy to go over that with you around registration time.
Thank you. Sue has 2 questions. I'm going to grab the second question. Her second question is, I get 15 credits of history from EVCC. Do those EVCC credits transfer to all, most in-state and out-of-state colleges? The answer is yes to all in-state colleges. The answer to out-of-state, all in-state public colleges, that's a difference. And do they transfer to all out-of-state colleges? The answer is maybe. And so that's where the research that Ms. Chilson was talking about later in the presentation helps. Sue's first question is, 1 free AP score can be sent to college of your choice, $15 after. What date are you referring to? Is this really geared towards seniors taking the test this year? I have a junior.
Great question about the AP score report. So the AP score report does include all of your AP scores. And so there's a deadline on their College Board account, and they do email students and warn people, this is coming up. I want to say, I'm so sorry, I don't want to give the date because I don't want to give the wrong one. But normally that is, something that they can decide. We often can also have students send each an individual AP score to the colleges as they take the AP exam. So if your junior student already has an idea which college they want to go to, they can go ahead and start sending those scores. But definitely have something like a list, whether that be high school transcript or something showing which AP classes they've taken and or college and the high school while your student is graduating and going on to their next destination. So I hope that helps. I would also just say that, the 15 credits of history from EVCC, of course, yes, those for the most part, we're finding that those are transferring successfully. However, I just want to point out, if you watch the presentation or the interview with Kelsey Mark, she talks about that all elective credits are great. So in order to graduate from college, most majors require 180 credits, like for the University of Washington, for example. And so even if you only need some of those history credits that are actually, maybe you don't need, let's say like that many social science classes or humanities classes, but anything above and beyond can count as just elective credits and kind of fill that pool if that helps. So pretty much any and all college credits that you can get that will transfer will help fill that bucket, like we said earlier in the presentation.
Awesome, thank you. And Heidi, your question was answered. You would not need to take the AP test for Running Start classes. Roberts, AP Euro offers both college and high school and AP test as a means of getting college credit. Daniel, is there any benefit to a reduced lunch student to do both, take the AP test and pay for college and the high school? I'm going to take a shot at that. There are very, 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 very few instances where it would be appropriate for or necessary for someone to take both the AP test and to pay for college and high school. In fact, I can't think of one, but I'm not going to put it out of the realm of possibility.
I was kind of surprised. I found two for AP Lit, and that was really surprising to me because I have told people my entire time working, as the AP coordinator that like, no, you don't want to do both. It's very rare. So, I mean, it is very rare. Of course, you are welcome to ask the question of an admissions representative and they will answer it for you. But I think they will also say it's rare, but it never hurts to ask, I suppose.
And Leslie asks, is Everett Community College the only community college that kids can get credit at? I'm assuming that means, do we only partner with Everett? And I believe the answer to that is no, it's Everett, Edmonds, and UW, but it's all dependent on the class. So for example, music theory is only partnering through Everett Community College.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that we also have other partnerships with CTE dual credits. So yes, you can get credits through CTE dual credits, but those are much less likely to transfer than the college and the high school credits. So those are typically geared towards like technical vocational programs. They could still potentially count as elective credit, but you would want to do a little research or ask us and we can help you out with that.
Awesome. Thank you. And Natalie, you had asked, where can we find the list for classes that offer college in the high school? And I think that's a great spot to wrap up tonight. I posted the answer, the link to the document in the Q&A, but please know that it will also be available on our website as a standalone. As part of this presentation, the slides, which will be there, which have lots of links in there, and that amazing video interview with Kelsey Mark from UW, and both this recording will be posted on our website. So all of those things will be available there. I just wanted to take the last few moments to thank our guest, Arancia. It's 7:33 at night and you're still here with us. And thank you so much for your service for Lake Stevens community and our students. We deeply appreciate your time. And thank you, Ms. Chilson, for organizing this and putting it all together. Families, if you have any questions, I know that any of us on the screen would be willing to help answer those questions. But for tonight, I'm going to let us go ahead and log off. So thank you very much. Students, families, be able to feel free to reach out to your counselors. We do have, your student knows who their counselor is. If they don't, just have them come to the counseling office and we'll get them hooked up. But until next time, thank you so much for your time. We're going to go ahead and close our meeting here in just a minute. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, folks, thank you so much. We have about 43 attendees still in, so just a heads up, but thank you again, Emily. You flipping did amazing. And Aranza, thank you so much for being here. Truly, truly appreciate the partnership. I can't believe that you show up every year and you just do a bang up job. So really deeply appreciate it. I owe you a Starbucks or whatever. let me know.
I already promised it, so I'm on it.
All right. All right. Well, we deeply appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and hit end. Emily, it takes a minute to pull up into a spot that my computer can then put it onto YouTube. And then once I have that, I'll send it to Jason and we'll have it here. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much, both of you.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good
Bye.
night.